What if the biggest failure of your life was actually setting you up for your greatest success? In 2005, one man stood before thousands of graduating students at Stanford University, not as just a billionaire tech mogul, but as a human being, raw, honest, and deeply personal. That man was Steve Jobs, co-founder of Apple, pioneer of the digital age. And on that sunny California morning, he delivered what many call the greatest commencement speech ever given. This is that story. These are those words. And trust me, by the end of this video, you will never look at failure, loss, or even death the same way again. Steve Jobs began with a confession that shocked everyone in that stadium. He never graduated college. Born to an unwed mother who gave him up for adoption, Steve was raised by a working-class couple who had promised his birth mother one thing, that their son would go to college. And he did. He enrolled at Reed College in Oregon, but after just 6 months, he dropped out. "I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life," he admitted, "and I had no idea how college was going to help me figure that out." But dropping out didn't mean giving up. Steve started dropping in, sitting in on classes that genuinely fascinated him. One of them was calligraphy, beautiful handwriting, artistic typography, something with absolutely no practical career value at the time. Yet 10 years later, when Steve was designing the very first Macintosh computer, every one of those typefaces, every beautiful font, came from that calligraphy class. His message? You cannot connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backward. Trust the process. Trust the journey, even when it makes no sense right now. Steve Jobs ended his speech with words that have echoed through generations. He told the graduates about an early publication from his youth, the Whole Earth Catalog, a Bible of creativity and self-reliance for young dreamers of the 1970s. On the back cover of its final issue were 5 simple words: "Stay hungry, stay foolish." That was his wish. For them, for all of us. Stay hungry. Never be satisfied with the ordinary. Keep reaching, keep building, keep dreaming. Stay foolish. Don't be afraid to look ridiculous. Don't be afraid to take the leap that others call crazy, because every revolution in human history was once called foolish. The iPhone was called foolish. Pixar was called foolish. The Macintosh was called foolish. And yet, here we are. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, drop a comment below with your thoughts, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories like this. See you in the next one. The second story Jobs shared was about love and devastating loss. At 20 years old, Steve Jobs and his friend Steve Wozniak started Apple in a garage. 10 years later, Apple had grown into a $2 billion company with over 4,000 employees. And then, he got fired. Fired from the very company he created. "I didn't see it then," Jobs said quietly, "but it turned out that getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could have ever happened to me." Free from the weight of success, Steve reconnected with something rare and powerful, his beginner's mind. He started a new company called Next. Then he bought a small animation studio that you might have heard of, called Pixar. Pixar went on to create the world's first computer-animated feature film, Toy Story, changing cinema forever. And eventually, Apple bought Next. Steve Jobs returned, and together they created the iMac, the iPod, the iPhone, devices that literally changed the world. The lesson Steve wanted every young person to hear? Find what you love. Don't settle. Keep looking. Don't stop until you find it. Because the only way to do great work is to love what you do. Then Steve Jobs said something that silenced the entire crowd. He talked about death. "When I was 17, he said, I read a quote that went something like, 'If you live each day as if it was your last, someday you'll most certainly be right.'" It struck him deeply. And for the next 33 years, every single morning, Steve Jobs looked in the mirror and asked himself one question. If today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I'm about to do today? And whenever the answer was no for too many days in a row, He knew something had to change. Then in 2003, Steve received a diagnosis: pancreatic cancer. Doctors told him he had only months to live. Miraculously, he survived. It was a rare, operable form, but that experience transformed him completely. Death is very likely the single best invention of life, Jobs told the graduates. It is life's change agent. It clears out the old to make way for the new. Don't waste your time living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. Have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They already know what you truly want to become.